You know that when you speak to somebody from Africa, I'm not saying every African is like that, but this is a fact that you have to face, right? These Mukasu and their sub-races came to Africa and did something that our master teacher broke down many years ago when he wrote the book, Let's Set the Record Straight. It's called Tying into the Vines. You know what I'm saying? They want to, this is a way of subtly supplanting the Africans, right? And destroying the root race. That's what they were about. You know what I'm saying? And this happened within the last moon cycle. So the job that we have as the new, what's the word I'm looking for? As those who are waking up, our job is much greater than we think. We think it's just here in America. No, it's world over. Because remember, as I spoke in the actual facts, right? Africa, when that energy shift takes place, it's going to affect Africans in Africa and world over. It will become the spiritual center again. But we have a job to do to guide their minds in the correct way of life, Wu-nuwaup. You know what I'm saying? Which predates all of their religions. You know what I'm saying? So it's an extensive task that we have. How to do it depends on the time, when it's time to do it. Because remember, when our master teacher came here in 67, just look at us as an example. He came in 1967, Wu-nuwaup. Were we ready for it? No, we were not. Why weren't we ready for it?
Religion.
How long did it take for him to break us out of the mental conditioning of accepting their religion?
30 years.
30 years, exactly. Just to get past that point. And now you have another 30 years just to do what? Just to begin to assimilate Wu-nuwaupu into our matrix again. Thinking as ontologists, as scientists, about the preservation of our race again. This is how long it took. Now imagine our job and what we'll have to do. You understand? So, I hope that answered your question. But it's not a magic wand. I'm not saying that's what you're saying. It's not a one-day cure. This is a process. Just like everything in nature works in process. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to happen, in our lifetime. You understand? Hope that answered your question. Anybody else have a question at this time? That's up, brother. I'm doing my best.
Since there is no God, so is there a devil?
Okay. In Wu-nuwaup, right, we have two forces that generate from itself. You have what you call wawad, which is good, and dewel, which is considered bad, right? And let's say you as a person express both natures. Now, the greatest definition that I saw within our patara, the word devil, as defined in Wu-nuwaup, is to deviate from nature's divine plan. That means this: you are an African, right? In America, you have a certain type of vibration. You have a certain type of faith. That is you, right? Or some people call it destination. That's what you are. The moment there's a deviation from that divine plan, because you exist in nature, correct? You have to sustain yourself from the things that nature grows. The moment you deviate from that, that is considered evil. You understand? The moment you start to accept synthetic things, that means synthetic ways of life that is not of your origin. As an African, right, the things that we've been believing in does not agree with our matrix. That's not a part of us, right? Our women blonding their hair, right? Bleaching their skin, doing different things to alter their chemistry is to be a devil. Fake fruit is to be a devil. Anything that's fake or that's deviating from nature's divine plan is a product of evil, right? And a product of evil created by somebody else who's considered also synthetic, who came after our creation. This is the Mukasu. The moment he takes all things that are natural and make it artificial, they have fulfilled their covenant. They have succeeded. So that is a form of evil. You understand? Not the religious aspects of God and the devil that we were fed for the last 400 years. That is a creation of an evil creature trying to control your mind or keep you or subject you in a state of fear and beliefs and hopes. When we as Nagaru have the ability to make things happen. You know what I'm saying?
So God cast the devil down here with his 200 angels. That was a fairy tale.
Actually, those stories was copied from the ancient tablets of Sumer.
Okay.
The wars in the skies.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, that took place in another star system and galaxy. Our master teacher wrote a book many years ago called Is God an Extraterrestrial? Right? And that strips the blindfold of the angelic, what's the word called? The winged, fat, white baby flying around as an angel, and old man God sitting in heaven, you know, that's there to judge you or guide you. Or Santa Claus, like the brother brought up earlier. You know what I'm saying? This is a concept they created. But in their Bible, it speaks about star systems and encounters with physical beings. You know what I'm saying? From different star systems. Let me give you an example. Do you know the Lord's Prayer? Would you mind saying it with me? Let's say it together. Yeah. Our Father, who art in heaven. Let's stop there. Heaven. What does the word heaven mean? Not what's been given to the word heaven. Let me ask you this. When you think of heaven, what do you think about? And be honest with me. Because when I think of heaven, I think of clouds and a big gate, media. You know what I'm saying? This is what they push in our mind, correct? The word heaven comes from the word haven, which is a docking place. A place where, you know, it's a docking place, basically. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Right? Now, if you look up the word heaven in that quote, in the Lord's Prayer, you'll find the Greek word orenos. What does orenos sound like to you? Orion. So, when we said the Lord's Prayer, as we were taught as Christians, right? We said, Our Father, who art in heaven. The word heaven was orenos, a star system. 7 star system of orenos. Hallowed be thy name, right? Thy kingdom come. Now think about it this way. Our Father, who art in Orion. Holy is his name, right? His kingdom come. Now visualize that. His kingdom coming from Orion to where? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in Orion. Think about it in that manner. When you start to strip away or you start to investigate the language, as our master teacher has been teaching us for so long, when you want to look or to understand something, you have to go to the roots of it. So we go to the root of the Bible, and we find out that the New Testament was translated from the Latin and the Greek. You find Greek words and Latin words, right? So the word Orion was there, a star system. Now, let's look at it in modern time. If a group of beings came here and said, hey, in a craft, right, which is a housing unit, to travel from one state to another, and said, hi, what's your name? Marquez. You know, I'm your ancestors and I come from Orion. Now think about it back in those times and apply it today. You understand? When you get a chance, check out that book. Is God an Extraterrestrial? You'll be, and quite frankly, all the other books that we're writing right now.
Another question, it might be off subject of this little, so I have brothers. I have a brother, he's a Mason, friend of mine, Mason, co-workers in Mason, and I was thinking about getting involved there. So that whole knowledge of, is that true? Like ultimate knowledge, like 360 degrees of knowledge what they have. Is that true? No, they say the higher you go up, the worse the devil, basically. I mean, that's what I heard. Rumors, I don't know if that's true or not. So can you tell me this is false?
Well, brother, I'm going to speak on it just according to where I'm privileged to speak about it on Freemasonry. You'll find that Freemasonry is more Christian than you think. You know what I'm saying? When you start to investigate its roots. You know, as far as the truth behind it, in Freemasonry, you only truly have 3 degrees. You have Enter Apprentice, Fellow Craft, and you have Master Mason. Freemasonry and Strinendom, right, originated with us. When we gave the Mokasu 3 degrees to raise them up, you know what I'm saying, to square them away, to sharpen them up. Unfortunately, a lot of our brothers and sisters us seeking them for the knowledge, the truth about us. But the fact is, we predate them. The whole concept of Freemasonry came from us, from ancient Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Here in our lodge, or in our temple, we also have our own secret, sacred society of brotherhood and sisterhood. You know, I would say seek, knock, and seek to find out more information on that. You know what I'm saying? But what they're giving you, it's not the real thing. It's not the truth at all. You know what I'm saying?
So my brothers, friends of mine, co-workers being misled, basically. I mean, I don't know the extent of it. I'm not joining. They want me to, join, but I'm kind of skeptical about it. I'm basically doing a little research on it, trying to find out more about what they think, and what they believe in. That's why I haven't joined it.
Right. I got you. The form of Freemasonry that's being practiced in America is a Caucasian form of Freemasonry. It's not ours. You know what I'm saying? The only one who's given us real Freemasonry is the man of the hour, also known as Brother John, amongst the Freemasons. You understand? So I would say this, brother. We have some. I'm really trying to hold off really building too much on Freemasonry.
Yeah, I understand.
You know what I'm saying? But we have books out there such as the Luciferian Conspiracy, and you'll see the whole history behind Freemasonry, where it came from, and what we have to offer to take our brothers out of that blinding light and bring them back in the true light.
What's that book called?
The Luciferian Conspiracy, and also Leviathan 666, part 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, part 1 and 2. Hope that was helpful, brother.
All right, thank you.
All right. Look like you want to laugh, man. Get it out, man. Go ahead and get it out.
Is there such thing as reincarnation?
Yes, there is such thing as reincarnation. First, look at the word incarnation. What does the word incarnation mean?
I think it's to be born again.
What does the word carnate mean? Let's start there. You have incarnate, you have reincarnate, and you also have the word discarnate. What does those three words have in common? Carnate. And carnate is the word carnal. What is carnal? Carnal is your flesh. So the moment you're born, right, you are incarnated. You are in the flesh. That means you operate on the physical plane of material things. And you relate to things around here, on this abode or on this level of vibration. So you are an incarnated being, just like all of us here are incarnated, right? This is a flesh that's housed by the spirit, and that's operated by the conscious being, or the soul, literally. You understand? So you are incarnated right now. So what does the word re means?
It's born again.
To be, exactly, to happen again and again and again. There is such things as, or there are conscious beings and soul beings who have the ability to incarnate into the flesh, to do a particular task here. This is just a suit, the physical body right here, for us to operate here on this realm. You understand? Because you're a conscious being. This is the moment you become attached to this, like the brother brought up earlier, you become trapped here, become stamped in consciousness here, until you grow out of that, or fade into nothingness. So yes, you have reincarnated beings do exist. That's all right. Take your time.
Who created God?
Who created God? Okay. First, let's establish who and what God is, and who and what God is not. And first, I have to understand where you're coming from when you say, who created God? Who is God to you? Remember earlier the brother brought it up about God, right? And there's a reason why he says that. And there's a reason why that brother here asked you a question earlier about your background. because that gives us as teachers and students the ability to analyze and give you the right kind of information to help you to grow. So who and what is God to you? When you see God, what do you see in your head? Or should I say, not to confuse you, what's been planted in your head as what God is and what God is?
It's basically, well, to me, it's basically a dude in white robes, I guess. But
Say that again?
it's a dude with white robes.
A dude with white robes?
Yeah.
So when you die, you're going to go up and see a guy with white robes?
I don't know. I guess everybody has their own way of telling the story.
I'm glad you brought that word up. A story. Can a story that's not true become true? It becomes real when it's not addressed. It's just like a rumor. A rumor left unchecked becomes a reality and a moving force in your life. So now imagine this. I'm going to give you something to think about. You are in Africa. You are practicing things your way, in accordance with nature and your ancestors, right? A group of people comes to Africa and convince you to leave Africa and brings you here in America. Once you get here, they restrict you from practicing your African ways. They now brought a book to you and gave you a brand new concept and a belief system on how to view your connection with nature and with all things. You understand? And they call this God. They sum it up. Right? And they say you must have what? You must have faith in God. Right? What else? Let's get another word. You must do what? Believe. You must believe there is a God, or in their gods. Right? What else? You must
Pray.
Huh?
Pray.
Yeah, pray. That's an action. But what else? As far as your consciousness. Faith, belief, and one more F word. Fear. You must fear God. And what else? You must love God. Why? Because God is a jealous God. Right? When you read the Bible, I am a jealous God. It's there. Right? Do me a favor if you can, bring that quote up. So, let's start there. You have love. You have faith. You have belief. And you have fear. All those are states of consciousness. In Africa, we operated from this. Love. Or divine love for all existence. Divine love for our way of life, and divine love, the connection with our ancestors. This is how we operated and how we sustained ourselves as African, or the oldest race on the planet. And because of this, we knew things. You understand? Our master teacher was asked the same question many years ago. Right? The same question, but the difference was it was in a school of Islam. The fact is, you affirm whether or not there's a God. You do. If you didn't exist, the concept of God would not exist to you. You understand? Somebody had to teach you this. But before that happened, you operated out of love. Then you was taught to have faith in God. What is faith?
Well, believe that.
Hmm?
Well, belief without reason.
You said belief without reasoning?
Yeah.
It's quite the opposite. Because belief is what? To accept something that you don't know. I can say, I believe him. And the thing about it is, they twist that word around so much, you almost think it's interchangeable. They work together, but they're not the same. Faith is based on trust. In something, whether it's confirmed or not. Right? You say, I'll have faith in it. I'll just have faith that it's going to happen. Or people say, I'll just believe. If you believe in something hard enough, it's going to happen.
It's pride.
Hmm?
It's like pride.
Well, pride is something else. Other words, they want to have the word pride. You know what I'm saying? Pride has its own definition, as to say. So, we operate out of love, and we was reduced to the consciousness of having faith in a God. What does the word God means? And this, let me make this clear. This is not an attack on you. I'm doing this to stir your consciousness, to make you see this from a different perspective. Because that question, when somebody asks, is there a God? Does God exist? It's not as simple as one answer. The reason why it's not as simple as one answer, because we have different levels of consciousness right here, just in this room. Now imagine a whole classroom where different people come from different walks of life, who are trapped in different mentalities of what they think God is and God isn't. You understand? So, we was reduced from love to faith, to belief, to fear. Fear God or you will be judged. Right? And when you're judged, you go into two places. You have, I'm going to draw this cross. You have heaven above, that's 1H. You have hell below, that's 2H. Right? And you have you in the middle, afraid. If I do the wrong thing, I'm going to go where? To hell. If I do the right thing and obey my master, I will go where? To heaven. You see the game there? If I obey my master, I will go to heaven. Who was your master? Who brought you here and told them that they were your masters and put their doctrine in your mind to believe in their God, feed in their God forces, which is based on death and destruction and fear and hopes. I hope for a better tomorrow. You understand? This is their mentality. Them being on the last strand of the genetic line, they operate on fear and hopes. And I'm talking about the Caucasian race. You understand? They push fear all over. Fear the police, fear going to jail, fear your mortgage, fear losing your house, fear losing your job. Hope you're going to make it to the next day. Hope your bills don't get paid on time. Those are worries you don't have to worry about right now, but we can relate, right? Those are things that we have to go through just on a daily basis. And this is the society they create. Only go to Sunday churches and get pumped up with more fear or more false hopes. You understand? This is what they operate on. The helping hand that you're looking for, and this is taught to us by our master teacher, is at the end of your own arm. Because we have a direct link, because we are the gods that they worship, right? And we are in tune with our ancestors, it is up to us to liberate ourselves. We have to do it ourselves, as a whole, as a people. No individual, one conscious person here or there, no, as a whole, we have to do it. Because we are operating on the 9 principle, 9 ether, 9 mind. You understand? All the existing gases in nature, the conscious gases in nature, operates on 9. They operate on 3, 5, and the highest of them is 6. When you deal with numerics or numbers, this is dealing with the essence of you or your consciousness. Fear and hope is operating between 5 and 3. 6 is belief and faith. Because this was the beginning of their religions. You understand? Any more questions based upon that? And with that, I will pass the class back over. My good brother, Samita Sihita Haut. I took out that one. So.
Knowing the past, just knowing how, like, for example, how the Ashtar-Khalil, they contacted Madame Blavatsky, etc., and contacted Hitler, and, they gave him information, to give in technology, etc. Going back to what he was saying as far as us, we're not really even really looking for any help. We're really looking to get in our right mind, and basically getting in our right mind, then everything would come in order, so to speak. Because I'm saying, for example, you can have a correct type of consciousness amongst a full group of people, a big group of people, and bring manifestations into reality as far as helping ourselves. Is that what we're looking for now? Is just we're not trying to look for beings that come out of the skies, or are we trying to look for beings in the skies, or are we just trying to get ourselves straight before we might even be worthy enough to build these beings out of the sky.
Okay, let me make sure, I'm trying to make sure, because your question was kind of lengthy, so let's try to make sure we got to understand it. Are you basically saying, at this point, when you say we, I assume that you're saying we as in Nuwaupians?
That's correct.
All right. Are we Nuwaupians looking for outside help? Is that
That
the
about
gist
so.
of it? Okay. Yes and no. The reason why we would say yes and no is because, first, we have a being who incarnates once every 24,000 years, right? To help reform our story, right? So we have a being who has incarnated in this day and time to help us already in the body of Dr. Malachi Zadok Kobina York, right? Okay, so we have help, but when he comes to help us, as Pat Yanun has explained, he said what in the is the extraterrestrials in creation. I think it's actually it's Mission Earth, right? Inside of Mission Earth, you familiar? All right. You have the moment where you're speaking with Pat Yanun directly. He's channeling directly in, and they ask what's his purpose, right? He said that his purpose is to spiritually elevate us as a people, right? So that means that being that we are already genetically connected to who and what we are with our ancestors being the Natharu, being supreme beings, being the masters of this universe, right? They're literally in a position to where they're looking to actually take the children from here, right? But like you said, we have to find ourselves, we have to literally be reattuned into who we are. It's kind of like a computer system. The master teacher explained it in this way, dealing with DNA. Our DNA is made in such a way as it's binary code. There's coding that's inside of it. What's happened with us first is just like when you get a brand new computer, it's running at its optimum performance level, right? All right. Then over time, if you expose that computer to the internet, or somebody's going on some porn sites or something like that on the internet, you know, just filth. I mean to say it like that so it'll be in your mind as filth. What does it do to your computer? It totally slows it down. It corrupts it. Your computer is no longer running at its optimum performance level, correct? Okay, our master teacher, being that over this last 6,000 year period in this moon cycle where we were under the spell of ignorance, that spell has been malware. It's been total hacking into our system because they have literally tied into our connection to our ancestors. They've tied into our genetics, literally. The master explained that our DNA is literally a high technological creation. He said our DNA is literally a high technology radio and receiver, right? For our brains to receive communication from our ancestors, right? So, being that we're so covered in filth and we're so off our station, we actually can't receive the transmissions that are being sent out by our ancestors regularly. So what happens? You have one who's sent into a physical form, and then he gives us what we need on physical paper. As he used to say back in the days, he said there's magic in these books. Remember he said way back in the days, he said, I'm not teaching you anything that you don't already know. He said, this is for you to remember. We understand that the intelligence is literally inside our genes. Like he said, it's intelligenetic. It's intel in genes. You've literally got intel in your genes, right? So what's happening here is he's cleaning up our system, that DNA, that high technological computer, so that we'll then be able to operate as in tune with our ancestors, right? So the helping hand that we're looking for is at the end of our arm, but he explained also, I'm giving you the key, but it's not the key that opens the door, right? He said it's you that opens the door, right? So here's all the information. These are keys. We need him first. Let's make sure that we put it like this as well. We are looking for the help, but if you can remember when they kidnapped our master teacher, right? And we had the pamphlets that were going out. They sent a message down that said that we'll help you, right? Once you free him, right? So the question then becomes, in that regard, are we looking for some type of help? I'm asking you as a Nuwaupian to a Nuwaupian. We are looking for help, right? But we're also looking to help ourselves as well. So that's why I say it's yes and no. Because it's time for us to realign ourselves with our ancestors so that we'll be able to operate like them and then be guided also by them. Does that answer the question for you? All right, good to go. Any more questions? And hot tap to you, man. How you doing? All right. I thought you was gonna break that Is Jesus God book open.
Yeah.
I know you brought it last.
I'm gonna read it again to give full understanding.
I got you.
Dealing with like the sun heat genes and also the sunbursts that are coming from the sun, how is that, are we receiving information from that as well as far as dealing with, are receiving that to the sun heat genes, to the melanin, et cetera? And what effects would that, the sunburst, solar burst, have on us as, melanated beings?
Well, the one thing that the master teacher explained before, when he was explaining Malachi 4:2, right? He was explaining that was the sun of righteousness having healing in its wings. That radiation and everything from those sunbursts is literally doing something at this point that is furthering what Mother Nature is doing, which is destroying this endangered species that's going extinct from off this planet, this germed man. So what's happening is it's killing them, but at the same time healing us, because it is sending out energy, it's sending out radiation, but at the same time, in order for us to make sure that we're in tune with our natural nature so that we'll be receiving the healing energy from it, we're given Patarak, which is our way. Like what we're most recently receiving is our tones for us to chant our chants in. Like we chant our Om in F, A, and C in harmony. We understand that the F major tone is actually the tone that goes along with the planet Earth and the universe. We understand that the A tone goes along with the body. And we understand that C goes along with natural nature. The master teacher was explaining how when you look at our body, how when you look at the three fingers, your fingers, are broken into three sections. Your arms are broken off into three sections, just like harmony, the F-A-C, 3 notes. Just like your leg, your foot, your lower leg below the knee, and above the knee. That's 3 sections. So our bodies were made to be in tune with nature, right? But being that we're out of tune with nature, if we continue to be out of tune with nature, those healing wings, that healing radiation that's going out, could also be killing us if we stay out of tune. Does that make sense? So it's about us taking what we're being given insofar as Patarak, actual facts, and then applying, because if we can remember, there's a difference in our language. There's a difference between understanding and overstanding, as the master teacher told us. Understanding is more academic, while overstanding is application. So when we're truly overstanding our doctrine by full application, then we'll receive full benefit being in tune with nature.
So that would be going back to some like my last question.
Okay.
Earlier. So the people that have melanin, that have toxic, let's just say toxic melanin, that aren't eating right, they're almost to a certain degree in the same boat as some of these individuals that don't have melanin, because it would be working against them.
Yeah, it's not. As a matter of fact, it's not even almost.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah.
The master teacher explained that what's happening at this point is like this. When we go to Revelation chapter 19, verse 18, this is the thing this is one of the things that the master teacher is really, really making known and aware. He had written it. It was literally already inside of the tablets as well. Like when you're talking about these beings literally being hungry, talking about eating, it sounds like some sci-fi movie stuff, but when you go to Revelation chapter 19, verses 17 through 17 and 18, it says, "And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. Earlier you were talking about Draconians, you were talking about Pleiadians. So what's happened is, if you look at a patriarch called Wu-Nuwaup, a seraphim with cherubim, right? It tells you there how you had Draconians and Pleiadians who were literally working together, right? But the Draconians were over the Pleiadians because they would eat the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians created a race out of themselves to have DNA like themselves so that they could actually have them to be the scapegoat for them. So they're the other white meat. So they decided, okay, we're going to make these beings be, we're going to make them so that we can offer them up instead of us, right? As the master teacher is explaining now, when it comes down to the things that we eat, when it comes down to the frequencies of things that we listen to, right? What they're getting hip to at this point is that they really don't want this meat. But if we end up bringing our levels down to theirs, if we smoke, right? Why is it that they want us to smoke? Why is it that they want us to drink? Right? They want us to smoke because some people that like meat, they like the smoke flavor, right? You have different seasonings and everything. So they want us to be literally bringing our vibration down to theirs and be eating the same things that they're eating so that we'll taste like them so that they'll be able to take and accept some dark meat too. So a lot of what's happening is you have people who are, like the master explained, you have people who are sleeping mentally, and when we heard his voice, we could wake up. But he said you also have those who are dead, and you can't wake them. So they may end up just being food, you know, because you're dealing with different beings who have different natures. Some beings like to eat human beings. And we showed already about how they also had their own, eating their own people, as we were talking about the cannibalism. You follow? So that's what's happening now, and that's why it's so important for us to be in tune, so we'll be off that radar. You know what I'm saying? And be receiving the message that we need to receive so we can know exactly what to do, when to do. And we've been sent a warner. So think about it. If we're sent a warner, that means something's coming. You follow? All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass the class over to my good brother, my Akhiratum Reyer.
That's up. You got another question? Go ahead. You good? It's all over your face, huh?
Well, the separation of the consonants is basically the separation of Pangea, and I really don't understand if it was helping like the spread of genes.
You said, was it the helping of spreading the genes?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, where are you getting that from as far as it's helping the spread of genes? Something that you...
I mean, like,
Can I ask you a question? Have you seen this movie, Hidden Colors 2? No, you haven't? Okay. Go ahead.
well, I mean, as in, humans, I think humans were found before, like, well, it's kind of hard to explain, but, okay, can't explain it though.
All right, let me see if I can help you out. You're trying to, if I understand you correctly, you want to know if the continental drifts that took place millions of years ago was the result, is for the purpose of spreading genetics all over the planet? Is that what you're trying to ask? Or- Okay. Well, spreading genes all over the planet would have taken place while the continents were together, because it's just as easy as walking from one place to another. Instead of the continents are thousands of miles apart, and I got to catch a boat and go from one place to another, you know. That wouldn't be the purpose. You have to understand that everything in nature changes. This planet is constantly moving. You heard of tectonics, right? Plate tectonics?
Yes.
It's constantly shifting. It's moving as we speak right now. You understand? So things are constantly happening as we speak. At one point in time, it was together and it's separated. And there's a book that our master teacher wrote called Atlantis. It may give you a lot more insight of what took place, or how this planet was prior to the continental drift, what North America was considered, and it also speaks about the whole story of Atlantis, you know, as far as that's concerned. But the spread of genes, you know, across the planet, it will be as easy as, if the planets were together and I wanted to go from one place to another, it's just as simple as walking right across over there. You know, so it gradually coming apart wouldn't be for that particular reason, to spread genes across the planet. Do you understand? You sure? Okay. That's that.
My question is, did men like Jesus and Muhammad and Moses and Abraham, did they actually exist? Did they step foot on this planet and were they real human beings?
You said that men like Jesus.
Like all those religious figures and whatnot, are they real people?
Okay. A man named Muhammad did exist, because there's a tomb in that region in Arabia where Muhammad's body is. As far as Jesus, we ask the same question. Think about it this way. If you could go to Egypt and find men that lived 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago, but there's no evidence of a Noah Ark yet. There's no holy beard of Moses found anywhere, you know, or Moses staff anywhere. So a lot of those stories were created by the Caucasians to give us a false doctrine. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of them were fictitious characters. For example, the word Moses. Do you know what the word Moses means? Okay. According to the Hebrews, they said the word Moses means child. Right? The word Moses was actually grafted from the Egyptian word, Mos, which dealt with being a student or somebody who's under a particular school. Just like the word, myself on the board, the word Thutmose, right? Or Tahutimos. That means he was a student under the order of Tahuti. That's just giving an example. The story of Noah and the flood was grafted from the Sumerian tablet of Wu-nuwaup. Those are stories those were incidents that happened thousands of years before the grafting of the Bible. So this is what they did. They took those stories, they formed a council, right, and they decided to create this book. And people believe it so much, but the fact is, you could find those stories on ancient records thousands of years ago. You know, name of gods and deities, and even the names of those people were different. Like the word Wu-nuwaup and the word Noah it's a whole different meaning. What does the word Noah mean? It means to rest. It was an action. Why would a man be named Noah before the ark rested?
Question.
Think about that. Those are the tricks that they play. It means to rest. So the ark rested, you know, that's an action, in other words. So, to answer your question, those stories that's given to us in the Bible are fictitious stories, grafted from ancient stories that happened thousands of years ago, incidents that happened that can be traced back. You understand? Okay.
Okay. In the Christian Bible, it speaks about the sons of gods. So the daughters of men that were fear and they took them to their wives.
That's Genesis chapter 6.
Somewhere there.
Mm-hmm.
Who were these sons of gods and where they came from? And that they could be compatible to the daughters of men. Could you shed some light to that?
Okay. That's a very, very lengthy question.
So it's contemplated.
I'll do my best to simplify it. I'm saying it's a lengthy question because we have so many books, especially in this day and time, that really goes into the story about who those sons of gods really were. You know what I'm saying? And depending on where you're coming from, what I mean by that is this. As Nagaru, right, our ancestors, or our overseers, we call them Panataru, right, or Nathiru, for those who are familiar with that, when you tie it into ancient Egypt. What was that? Then you have the Sumerian story of gods. They call them the Anunnakis. They were their overlords, you know. And then you have, and out of that we grafted the term Elohim, which means these beings, down to your Bible as the word God. Then you have the sons of gods. I'm trying to walk it down as simple as possible. Those stories of the sons of God coming down was speaking about an event that took place when these beings came down and raped a group of beings on this planet, took daughters of men of which they chose, right? And they said mighty men were born. You understand? And those mighty men were called Gibor or Giborines. And that was a result of a rape that took place.
Yeah.
You understand? So the story of the Bible that speaking about extraterrestrials that came down here who are called the sons of gods in your Bible. They came here and they took Adamites, or the ruddy race, right, that were here on this planet, and they mixed with them. And this is the incident that took place with that. Had nothing to do with us at all. Absolutely nothing to do with us.
That's
That's very so. Go ahead.
so what, we were before that incident?
Yes, we were before that incident insofar as that wasn't dealing with us, meaning that we had our own ways. We had our own overlords. You know what I'm saying? Panataru, that dealt with us in Africa. What took place with them was not dealing with us. We were simply observing what took place, in other words. But that wasn't us. That was dealing with a whole other group of beings that were bred here, you know what I'm saying, and the intermixing that took place with them. That's what that is all about. Nothing to do with us. By the time it get down to you or us, it comes to this Bible where it says the sons of God came down and took the daughters of men. That's what that's all about. But I will have to refer you to some books. One in particular, Sarabu Mokarabu. That is you have that with you? You don't? Okay.
Yeah, one in stock.
Yes, we should. You can check the back. You know what I'm saying? All right. You're welcome. With that answer, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. We appreciate the time. Hope we were able to answer everybody's questions. And until next time, without.